Hi, thanks once again everyone for joining our today's webinar session. My name is Muhammad Kader and I'm the technical lead in Jubilee Bros Solar Division, taking care of the UAE and other branches. Um, Today's presentation, we will proceed formally without any further delay. These presentation will include at the start Jubilee Bros introduction, followed by Fusion Solar Residential Smart PV solution, and at the end we will have the summary of what I will be presenting. So Jubilee Bros is a 43 years old power solution company. We are in 10 different countries around the globe. We have 3 manufacturing plants for the diesel generators. We have 29 plus branches and service centers, having 1341 employees, and in the countries that we are not present ourselves, we work through the 70 dealers and the distributor channels. Our vision is to be a pioneer in delivering conventional and renewable energy solutions. Our mission is to be trusted by our customers to provide reliable energy solutions delivered through the expertise of our dedicated teams and the support of our global partners. So, Jubilee Bros was established in 1977 in Lebanon, which most of you would be aware of. And in the following years, till that, we have established branches in several different countries. And late in 2017, when Jubilee Bros had completed almost 40 years in generator business, we started our solar division. And since then, we have been doing solar equipment distribution. In 2020, we have now also established uh, a branch in Pakistan. So we have 6 key pillars for supporting our APC customers. The primary is the product supply from our own stock and through our distributor channels. We keep equipment in our district in our stock for quick deliveries, supporting the APCs to meet the timelines. Parallel to this, we do also the training of the products in order to make sure that the designs made perfect and optimized. And we also do engineering support per project. If you have any project where you're using Huawei, you can contact us. Our engineering team is able to support you in making the system optimized technically and commercially. Jubilee Bros also receives leads in all the countries that we work. These leads are also passed to our trusted APC channels who would be supporting the requirements of such customers contacting us. And parallel to these, we also have referral to available finance for the EPCs. We have strong relationships with financing institutions and developers who are able to help our EPCs find finance for their customer uh, solar projects. And we have the after sales support. We have certified engineers who can support you once you have deployed the solar products on your project site with any issue that may arise. And yeah, this is it. We have these 6 key pillars under our umbrella for the distribution model of the solar division. So the key components that we supply are the Huawei Fusion solar inverters and accessories, Lumax mounting structure, Tier 1 solar PV modules, and we have now added a PV diesel hybrid controller as well. Going forward, we will be expanding our product portfolio. So we are the value-added partner and certified service partner of Huawei Fusion Solar. What does that mean is that we can provide you preferential prices for Huawei solar inverter, and also support you when it comes to your commissioning of the inverter and post installation issues if there occurs any. So Huawei inverters are made to have higher yields in the PV plant with a less O&M and a highly safe and reliable product having 25 years span of life. So in 2019, we delivered 1,396 inverters, which accounts to 69.26 megawatt. In 2020, we delivered 1,804 inverters, amounting to 93.6 megawatt. And hopefully this year's target will be above 100. So going ahead with today's main topic, the AI boost optimal electricity cost and active safety of the residential advanced smart PV solutions offered by Huawei. So this is the full range of products supplied by Huawei. On the residential side, we have from 2 to 6 kilowatt single phase, followed by 3-phase 3 to 10 kilowatt inverters. And for these range of inverters, we have optimizer. And also now Huawei has launched the Luna battery pack that is supported by the single phase and 3-phase residential range of inverter. And then we have in commercial and industrial range of inverters from 12 to 20 kilowatt one range, from 30 to 40 kilowatt another range, and we have 50, 60, and 100 kilowatt sizes of inverters. In utility scale for sizes, we have 185 kilowatt and the 200 kilowatt inverters. While in this slide you have shown to have the 100 kilowatt and 215 kilowatt. These are actually models not for Middle East, but for Middle East we have the 185 KTL and the 200 KTL. Fusion Solar Residential Solution. So the Fusion Solar Residential Smart PV Solution has optimal electricity cost with the latest technologies available now for the Huawei product, such as the optimizers and the Luna battery. We are going more closer to having optimized electricity cost. With the latest feature, now we have more active safety and we have a better experience both for the installers and the owners of the PV plant. So Fusion Solar Residential Smart PV Solution, we have a range of products in this section. In the Smart Energy Center, a single phase, we have from 2 to 6 kilowatt different size of single phase inverters, followed by a 3 to 10 kilowatt size of inverters. We also have a smart string energy storage system now, 5 kilowatt hour, 10 kilowatt hour, 15, and then we can have a double of these as well, up to 30 kilowatt hour. We have a backup box, which I will explain the use in my later slides. We have a smart PV optimizer. Previously, we had a 375 watt optimizer. Now that has been upgraded to with 450 watt optimizer. We have a dongle for communications, the WLAN-FE and the 4G. More information I will also provide on these in my later slides. We have smart power sensors, the single phase and 3-phase. For our market, we have the single phase and the 3-phase in 250 ampere by 50 milliamps. These are normally adopted to projects where you are requiring a zero export or power control based on the grid point in your pre-pond. And we have a free monitoring platform called Fusion Solar, and this monitoring platform is available on your desktop via a web account, and on your mobile phone via an application. You can view them from anywhere at the comfort of your mobile phone as well. So on the top of this slide, you can see a quick small diagram where solar PV panels are connected to the inverter. All those solar panels have these optimizers. Optimizers give you multiple benefits, such as the module level shutdown uh, and module level monitoring and similar other uh, characteristics, which I will also explain in my later slides. The residential range of Huawei inverters are also referred as the smart energy center because it connects to a battery energy system for the storage, and you can utilize this energy based on your requirement, and you can store it and use it at your convenient time. So going ahead, we have the first topic of the day about the optimal electricity cost. So using these latest Huawei inverters, the M1 series, the three-phase, and the L1 series single phase, you can optimize your electricity cost in many different ways. The first thing is that you can install more solar PV modules on your rooftop and generate more PV energy. Since in the daytime, the homeowners are not using a lot of energy, they can use it when they are available at home later in the evening or night by storing the energy in the battery. Thus, if you have a low consumption within the day, you can generate higher energy, store them into the battery, and use them at a later time. So, regarding the FTX safety and the better experience, I will be explaining them in my later slides. So, how can we optimize our electricity cost? One thing is optimizer. And using optimizer, we can increase our energy yields up to 30%. If you see in this screen, on the rooftop, there is one solar panel shaded. Now, with these solar panels shaded, the other solar panels within the same string will also be affected due to the smaller current of the shaded solar PV module. So you can see on the left side, this has been shown to you that the shaded solar panel might provide you around 85% of its efficiency, and also uh, downgrading the series solar PV modules, and the efficiency of those solar PV modules will also be reduced. In other scenario where you will be using optimizer from Huawei, so the effect of these solar panels which is shaded will not let the other solar panels within the same string to produce less PV power. So thus they will perform their 100% of their output through the optimizer. The optimizer working scenario can be from different azimuth angles for different tilt angles, and due to the shed occurring on a small portion of a roof. So with in all these scenarios, you can have an optimizer installed in your PV plant. So these comparison cases done by Huawei on their facilities in China have been different orientations. They have tested their optimizer, giving the same condition the PV modules with optimizer and PV modules without optimizer, and it has been seen in their facility that within the with using the full optimizer solution, the energy was increased by 10 to 13% energy on a full day of energy spectrum. This test was done using some 2450 watt peak optimizer and using the L1 inverter. So using the same optimizer, same inverter, and same tilt and scenarios, the optimizer has functioned and provide you a higher energy yield. So one more benefit that you will get out of using this optimizer is that you can make longer strings. Now the solar PV inverter will not be limited by the highest string input voltage, rather the maximum power that you can input to a string. So let's suppose using a certain PV module without optimizer, if you could make a maximum of 20 PV module in a string, now you can go up to 25 or 30 solar PV modules, because that 30 solar modules will be actually equivalent to the PV power required by the input on the string. You can see in this picture that a roof is taken as an example, and if you are using an inverter from a third party, so you might be required to distribute these solar PV modules with different orientations to two inverter, one inverter having maybe two MPPTs with a certain number of PV modules going to it, and not allowing you to mix the different PV modules of different orientation with each other. Thus you will be having two inverter, with one inverter having 11 modules and the other input having 7 modules. Similarly, the other inverter having only 7 solar PV modules in the input. Using the same roof, if you would be using a Huawei inverter with the optimizer, so although it has two inputs, you will be using only one input of this inverter and can actually make a string of all those 25 PV modules in one string and connect to it. And these strings should be within the limits of 5000 watt using the single phase inverter, and using three phase 3 to 10 kilowatt inverter up to a maximum of 10 kilowatt. The benefit of this would be less labor, uh, less number of inverter, and also less DC cabling. So now Huawei has launched a smart string energy storage system with energy optimizer. As you can see in this picture, there is a power module on the top, which includes the DC-DC converter, and also sums the output of the battery modules, having termination for the DC input to the inverter, and also the communication part is associated with the power module. Just below this, you will see there is a battery module with built-in energy optimizer. This energy optimizer gives additional benefits to the battery itself, which I am going to be explaining. So just on this screen, you can see that the battery from a third-party source is taken as an example, where you have multiple battery modules connected to a power module, and if by chance any of the battery module gets affected, you might have to replace that with a newer one, or if one of the battery modules is depleted further and the state of health is reduced as compared to the other battery modules, it will draw down the other healthy battery modules as well to work at the same state of health as shown here. Like 60% is the depleted or the depleted battery module, and it will also draw down the other battery modules to act at the same state of health or state of charge. While with Huawei, there is built-in energy optimizer. If you are going to be changing a new battery modules, you will bring and replace a faulty one, then the newer one will work with this 100% state of health and will not be affected because it has a built-in energy optimizer. So the battery modules are having only 50 kilograms of weight, which is easy for two people to carry, and and install. The depth of discharge can go up to 100%. Thus, you can draw more energy from Huawei battery packs. Parallel operating, so one battery pack can be 5 kilowatt hour, 10 kilowatt hour, or a maximum of 15 kilowatt hour, because in one battery pack you can have a maximum of 3 battery modules. So if you want to increase this pack, we can go up to 2 battery packs, and a maximum of 30 kilowatt hour can be connected to an inverter. Two times power battery ready. So as you can see in this picture, that Huawei inverter can also charge the battery within the daytime and also run your home loads. So let's suppose if you have a 5 kilowatt Huawei single phase or a three-phase inverter, it will charge 5 kilowatt to the battery, and also is capable of providing a 5 kilowatt to the load. So 5 kilowatt DC and 5 kilowatt AC by a 5 kilowatt inverter. Uh, Thus, using Huawei inverters, you can have more daytime consumption as well, and more daytime energy storage as well for the nighttime consumption. These slide actually gives you a quick idea of how these two times power benefits you as compared to other solution available in the market. So on the left, you can see that the other PV solution with the storage, if you are using a 10 kilowatt peak PV module with a 5 kilowatt inverter, you can have a maximum of 5 kilowatt load running through it, and a maximum and half of the 5 kilowatt, which is 2.5 kilowatt charging of the battery. While in the case of Huawei, if you are using energy optimizer, power optimizer, you can have a Huawei inverter. You can have 5 kilowatt load running as an AC output, and you can have a 5 kilowatt DC charging for the battery. So this is an additional benefit. Thus, if you're using a third-party solution in this scenario, you will be actually having a reduced output due to these features. While using a Huawei solution, you can have higher output as well using optimizer. So going to the active safety feature of the Huawei inverter. So safety is commonly known to be, the prime focus in all PV projects. When you have an electric arcing in the system, and that also on the DC side, that is quite, hazardous. So why would an arcing happen in a DC side of the PV plant is due to unreliable solder joints in the PV modules, due to broken PV cables, or due to loosened PV connectors. What is the harm out of this is these arcing can lead up to a 3000 degrees Celsius temperature rise in that particular location, and thus there is a high chance of a fire getting catched in that area if there is flammable items nearby. So it is not going to be actually uh, and this is not going to do a damage to the PV plant itself. This can also do a damage to the property where it is installed. So the arcing has a big challenge. It is actually a noise that is going through the DC cable to the inverter, and the inverter has to detect that. Huawei has actually made a feature inside the inverter that can detect that noise. And there are some other challenges due to the grid interference and loads that can also account to such noises and lead to a faulty detection of such uh, AFCI as well. So Huawei has still managed to make an artificial intelligence based R fault detection, so which is getting commonly used with all Huawei PV inverters. So Huawei is actually doing a self-learning of the arc fault occurring in your PV plant and making sure that it gives you the right results whenever such arcing happens in your PV plant, and thus making the arc fault accuracy higher. It has a big database inside the inverter about the previous occurrence of arc faults within PV plants, and whenever there is a noise in your DC cables due to the arc, that is been taken by the inverter, and that will analyze with the big data already available through an AI algorithm in making sure that these noises actually are definite arc fault in your pre-plant and raising an alarm accordingly. This detection happens within zero point 0.5 seconds, which is a very short period of time. So, in order to certify the claim of arc fault in the Huawei inverters, Huawei has tested through third-party 2UV suite, commonly known certifying body, and the Huawei inverter has been certified with IEC 63027, which is under draft stage, and soon the certificate will be published as well. Now, Huawei inverter has certified with the IEC standard. As you can see, that the IEC standard requirement is that the arc fault should work with only 318 volt with the highest current and up to a 318 volt, while Huawei inverters arc fault works with all voltage range. The shutdown time required by the IC standard is less than 2.5 seconds, while the Huawei inverter shuts down the inverter in case of a fault due to arcing within less than 0.5 seconds. So this time is very significant when it comes to such a huge hazard, and Huawei has reduced highly this time period and meets with a much bigger difference as compared to the IC standard. So arc energy requirement, the IC standard is 750 joule, while the Huawei can detect up to 500 joule of arc as well. Arc detection accuracy 100% is IC requirement, and Huawei also detects 100%. Uh, Pinpoint arc fault positioning. So this is something not required by IEC standard, but Huawei can support pinpoint arc fault positioning. What does this mean is that, let's suppose you have uh, P modules in your system using residential inverters, and you are using optimizers within your P plant. Then Huawei inverter on the menu can detect that exactly which P module within which string has that arcing issue. So making it a pinpoint arcing positioning. So such result will also be available on the Huawei monitoring platform called Fusion Solar. You can detect exactly where you have to go in your P plant in order to rectify the issue. So this slide is about the AI boost AFCI function. Actually, the platform we are using, ClickMeeting, is not supporting videos on the presentations. So I will be quickly sharing my screen to show you when the arc fault happens and you have a FCI feature on and not on, what will happen actually. So I will quickly share my screen. Uh, this is the screen with the PV arcing and without PV arcing comparison. So as you can see within this screen, the first video that I'm running is the AFCI function is disabled. So when you are getting an inverter from Huawei, you have the the feature, to turn on this feature or to turn off this feature. So just let's see what happens when there is when there is an arcing and you have turned off this feature. So the arcing will happen continuously as shown within this video. On the other hand, if you have turned on this feature, the arcing happened and immediately uh, the arcing has been detected by the inverter and turned off. I'm just replaying this video. Yeah, and that's how the arc AFCR function works within the inverter. I hope that made clear how the AI boost AFCR works. So with using residential range of Huawei inverters, Huawei has not only taken care of the AFCR, it has also taken care of the firefighters as well. And there is a safety factor defined within the inverters when you are having optimizer installed within the PV modules. You can have a module level shutdown as well. What happens is when an inverter, when there is a fault to the inverter, or there is a fire in the system, and due to some reason the inverter stops its functioning, the PV modules on the rooftop having optimizers will open circuit itself, and thus at the output of the optimizer you will get 0 volt. So if there is someone going to the rooftop in order to do some modification work, or the firefighter is working there uh, to extinguish a fire, those people will not be exposed to such high voltage risks because the optimizers has 0 volt output in such cases. So the pinpoint are for positioning, which I also gave a quick touch earlier, is is actually an AFCI detection feature for easier troubleshooting when you are having optimizer within your pre-plant and you are using optimizers with all the P modules. You can have a layout of this P plant on Fusion Solar P plant. Is shown within this picture, within in the mobile screen, showing a virtual representation of what is installed on the rooftop, and having the second P module on the lower side from the right, having an arc fault. These will be coming on your mobile phone on that particular point that this P module has this AFCI issue. Thus pinpointing you where exactly this issue is occurring, and you are gonna deploy your labor to rectify the issue. These will actually reduce the labor time, the faulty the fault detection, and also it will reduce the inverter non-operation time. Okay, so for safety, there is a three-level protection within the batteries as well. On the battery cell level, Huawei is offering you a lithium iron phosphate cell, which is very known within the market for its safety and stable performance. On my battery pack level, for each battery module, there are 8 different sensors continuously looking at the temperature and performance of the battery modules. And if you are using a 3 battery module pack, So there is actually 24 sensors within one battery pack, as compared to other third-party solutions offering you three sensors available, and or 16 sensors available in the market. On the system level, which is actually taken care by the uh, power module on the top, there is a faulty pack auto isolation feature, which is actually a touch safe feature on the battery. If any of your battery module goes faulty, so only that battery module uh, will be automatically isolated from the rest of the battery module, and yes, and the battery pack will still operate with the remaining ones. So these complies to the rigorous safety standard requirement of VDE 2510. So now we have another additional benefit of using Huawei inverter, that in areas where there are electricity outages happening, uh, you can have optional backup box from Huawei, and you can install it within your system. And these backup box will detect when the grid goes off. It will use the battery stored within the battery source and draw this to run your critical load within your system, such as like fridges, lights, yeah. How you get the better experience out of the residential range of inverters. Huawei design is actually influenced from the waterfall. It has a sleek design and occupies less space on the ground. And it can be floor mounted or can be wall mounted. The bracket for the floor mounted is already supplied as a standard. Also, the range of Huawei residential inverters are made with a sleek design, smaller in size, having less weight, and thus easy for installation and aesthetically very beautiful. Huawei adopts to the one fits all solution, since all these parts optimize the battery, inverter, backup box are actually provided by a single source Huawei, including the mobile application, the services. So they are made to one fit all. What does that mean? Is that one optimizer supplied by Huawei can be uh, work can be made to work with the single phase of inverter and with the three phase of inverter. Okay, and easier management. If you have one optimizer, you can have them in stock and you can use them whenever there's a requirement for either a single phase or a three phase. So easier commissioning. So you have one single app called Fusion Solar, which you can use to commissioning either the single phase or the three phase of the inverters. So all of these comes from a single supplier, but thus it will also provide you an easier support, easier compatibility. So we have one energy storage called Luna battery, which can be adopted to the single phase or the three phase inverter. Okay, so easier operating. So you can operate the inverter at a site using all of these components within one system and having one service platform and one application for commissioning. For easier service, there is one window. Um, you can always approach for all these components service to Huawei only. Thus, it is actually a one fits all service solution provided by Huawei. Okay, so auto detection of all system devices. So when you're doing a commissioning using Huawei Fusion Solar app, the detection of all the components since they are coming from a single source will be detected automatically. You will provide the serial number of, let's suppose, a smart dongle, and the rest of the components within that system will be automatically detected by the Fusion Solar application. While in the third party scenario, it can take from 15 to 20 minutes as compared to 1.5 to 3 minutes of Huawei. The third party solutions either have this inability of auto detection or are complex to do such auto detection. Okay, so with the AI boost feature, you can have an auto module level mapping on your Fusion Solar application. So if you have PV modules with the optimizers on your rooftop, you can draw a map of them using the barcode provided with the optimizer on a page also provided with the optimizer. Take a picture of that, upload it on Huawei Fusion Solar, and automatically a layout with each PV module where it is available will be drawn on the Fusion Solar. And when you will be monitoring, you will be able to see the module level voltage and current. So this auto mapping from an image which you will be taking when using the barcode will take only up to 5 seconds to map on the Fusion Solar. So this is actually reducing a lot of time. While we have seen other, batch solution available in the market can do this up to say, by taking up to 6.5 minutes. So flexible communication and power control for all scenarios. Huawei can provides you a WLAN-FE dongle which can be adopted with residential scale inverters. If you have a good Wi-Fi available within the facility that can reach to the inverter, you can use a Wi-Fi dongle with the inverter. The Wi-Fi dongle is not required actually with a single phase, but if it is because it has a built-in Wi-Fi for the remote monitoring as well. But in some scenarios, the built-in Wi-Fi with the single-phase inverter might be not, catching the Wi-Fi range. So in order to increase that, you can also install the Wi-Fi dongle for the single phase. With the three phase, it comes as a standard device, free of cost, which can be used to connect to the internet router either via Wi-Fi or via an Ethernet cable. Let's suppose if you don't have Wi-Fi connection or internet router to connect via Ethernet, then you have the option of using a 4G dongle in your P plans, and you can have a SIM from any carrier within UAE. This can be Du or Etisalat, and you can insert this uh, by by activating it with a data package, and it will automatically route data through that 4G dongle to the Fusion Solar Cloud automatically, and you can monitor the PV plant at the comfort of your desktop or mobile phone anywhere. No fuse or other quick parts are being used within Huawei inverters, such as there is no LCD. The Fusion Solar mobile app, you can be in front of the inverter and you can connect your mobile to the inverter, and your mobile itself will work as a LCD display for the inverter. So reducing the LCD has not only reduced, you know, the vulnerability, and also it has made it, smaller in size, less costly even. And also there is no buttons because the Fusion Solar app have many features which you can, when you are standing in front of the inverter, you can do monitoring, you can do the maintenance, you can do the parameter change, all of these through the mobile app. So therefore, no button is available on the inverter, reducing the quick wear part. Also, Huawei is using natural cooling, which is verified by the Huawei telecom sector, having a huge experience of this natural cooling thing in the telecom equipment. Huawei is well aware of each components that are being used inside the inverter and what are the temperature that will be built. So accordingly, the heat sink at the back end of the inverter is developed such that it has these thickness variables, making sure that the temperature is properly dissipated and equally distributed inside the inverter. Having these all feature, Huawei is actually reduce the failure rates of the inverter to less than 0.5% overall, and which is much less as compared to the other solutions available in the market. There are tests and reports available for certain PV plants within the market where inverter availability throughout the year is almost up to 99.996%. And for some instances, such reports can also be shared with our valued EPC customers. So we have visible power flow, module level monitoring, and statistical indicator. So within these three mobile screens that you have on your laptop now visible, you can have exactly the idea of how much power is being produced by solar, how much power is coming from the grid using a smart power sensor exactly, and this will indicate that. So for module level monitoring, if you are using the optimizers within your PV plant, so you can exactly understand what is the voltage and current of each PV module in your PV plant. And also you can have a statistical indicator within your PV plant that will tell you uh, the self-consumption rate and also the self-sufficiency rates of your PV plant. So how much you are self-sufficient. Let's suppose uh, you have a requirement of 10 kilowatt hour and a 6 kilowatt hour is being drawn by your PV plant to run your loads within the day. So the Fusion Solar will tell you that you are self-sufficient by 60%. So going to the summary. So there are 9 different innovative features provided by Huawei Smart PV solution, such as the natural cooling, the auto mapping, and um, smaller optimizer size, and many others. These slides will be shared to you guys post this webinar, and you can view them individually. And in case of any question, Jubilee Bro's technical team can be approached via email or contacts to know more in depth about them as well. So most of these features are already explained to you guys. This is the full range of Huawei small residential uh, inverters. On the left, we have a 3 to 6 kT L1 inverter, and with followed by 3 to 10 kilowatt three-phase inverter, Luna battery optimizer, the backup box for running critical loads in case of electricity outages. We have dongle, the WLAN and 4G, 2 types. And there is a smart power sensor available within the product range. There is mobile application Fusion Solar, and there is web monitoring portal Fusion Solar. Thank you, everyone. My presentation is finished here. Now we will be going to the Q&A session, and all of you who has the questions written in the chat section by clicking the question mark icon will be appearing automatically there, and I'm going to be answering you one by one. So the first question that we have here is how we can control the max input DC voltage at inverter if we increase the number of modules and strings with optimizer. That's a very good question. Actually, when you are having full optimizer solution in your PV plant and you are connecting your optimizer to a particular inverter model, then these optimizer will automatically identify that what is the input voltage requirement of this particular inverter. So it will play, this optimizer will play with the voltages and currents of the PV panels in order to make sure that the string that you have made is within the voltage range required by the inverter. So optimizer itself is a DC-DC converter, and it will actually, when you are using more solar panels than the case of a non-optimizer solution, then what will happen is that this optimizer will reduce the voltage in order to bring down the voltage within the inverter voltage limits automatically. Thus, you can have more power per string. I hope that explained well your question. How net metering will work in case if you use optimizer with inverter. So net metering has nothing to do with the optimizer directly. With the optimizer, you will get higher energy yield, and if your load is not requiring the excess power, will be going towards the grid. So there is a very simple answer to that. Are you recording this meeting? Yes, this is being recorded. Mm-hmm. I hope you guys can hear me now. I'm not on a mute. So, how many kilos of solar will it take to run refrigerator, 2 HP submersible pump, and lights in a small house in a village? Uh, Rahman, this is actually a design perspective thing, and if you want to do this, you need to know exactly what is the energy consumption within the 24-hour on average per day, and then accordingly you can design your PV plant. For more questions, if you have, you can reach us on technicalsolar.ue@jubileetools.com, and we can help you with this. The question, the new one is, Fusion Solar app doesn't work sometime during commissioning process when scanning the inverter, barcode, Wi-Fi, QR code. Is there any bug nowadays? There might be some maintenance work going within the period that you have used. I don't think so. There should be an issue. You can do the commissioning. You're using the Fusion Solar, and yeah, if there is any bug, please report these to us, and then we will help you with getting the pre-plant commissioned. IV curve tracer of the Fusion Solar is not analysis of report of its results. Well, this question is not very clear, but just to tell you, the residential scale of Huawei inverters comes with free IV curve diagnosis as well on the Huawei Fusion Solar. You can do at any time the IV curve analysis when you know that the irradiance is enough, mm, more than 400 watt per meter square. And then you can do the IV curve analysis by pressing uh, the intelligence ONM and clicking the task of the IV curve, and it will start doing it. And finally, it will give you a report telling you whether your strings are healthy or not. If there is not healthy, it will tell you exactly what is the issue and what is the solution in order to solve that. Please send me a presentation file. Okay, this will be shared to your email if this is your registered email for this webinar. Is there any islanding mode in the Fusion inverter? Yes, definitely. All the Huawei inverters are actually on-grid inverter, and it has the anti-islanding feature. Sure, we will be sending you the presentation. Can we connect large rating of PV panels, 530 to 560 watt PV panels, so 12 to 20 kTL M2 inverter? Yes, Umair, you can definitely connect these PV modules, and if you have higher current more than IMP, it will be clipped. But you make sure that PV strings are connected to 1 MPPT should not be crossing the IAC limit of the MPPT. As the current is higher from inverter capacity. The IAC current shouldn't be higher, but if the IMP current is a little higher, it will be clipped. Yeah. Yes, the slide will be shared with you guys. Uh, from experience on solar edge PV inverter, which is similar to this tower inverter, we experience challenges in voltage and frequency fluctuations. Once the both fluctuates, the system shuts down immediately. Is there a way to widen the input frequency and voltage run? Yula, this is a very good question. Normally, inverters, when commissioned, are set with a grid code. So, if your grid authority allows you, you can change the voltage and frequency limits of the inverter going to the inverter, protection parameters. So these protection parameters are available in the Fusion Solar app connected to your inverter. So the answer is yes. What will be the recharge time after full discharge? This depends on how fast you will draw and how much is your load. These products are available in Qatar, please. These products can be supplied to Qatar. Please approach us and we will let you know about the availability in Qatar or in our other branch who can supply to you in Qatar. Did you sign any recent projects? My job expected in the future in your company? Well, this is a very unclear question. Please write us again your question and then I can try to explain that. Does the Huawei inverters work with any other batteries? No, unfortunately, we have to use only Huawei supplied Luna battery with a three-phase, with a single phase. You have the option of using a certain model of LG Chem battery apart from Luna. This LG Chem battery model is also mentioned in the data sheet of the product. Right now, I don't have any other question, and there is just another question popped up. Can we get an inverter load guidelines of the different range of inverters? Yeah, you can contact us on the technical email ID, which was in the presentation last slide, and then we will help you and we can guide you for this as well. Thank you. Okay, so the questions in the Q&A section are finished. I once again thank you guys for joining us in today's session. I will ask my colleague Casey now to actually share the screen with our feedback survey about the webinar. We will have other webinars in the future. Your feedback for this webinar will make us do better webinars in the future. So thank you very much.